Yes.
Perfect. So, once again, hey everyone, my name is Andrej. Today I'm one of the mentors of Brno team. And yeah, I'm a UX researcher. So I think it will not be a surprise for you folks that I will be talking about research. I'll be talking about rigor in research. And what led me to this topic is one pretty maybe strange experience. I'm not sure if you experienced it or not as well. But some time ago, I was told that my work is way too good and it wasn't meant as a compliment. I was told that I'm taking it seriously. I'm making too rigorous research. And because of that, it's taking more time than would be necessary. Back then, I didn't understand it, I must say. I thought like, how? Like I'm a researcher, I have to do rigorous stuff, right? But then after a few years of working, doing more research, doing more rigorous research, but also doing more of the quick and dirty one, I realized that it's not binary. Rigor in research is not like you are either rigorous or not. It's actually a scale, and there is a lot of space for us to work with rigor and to make our research more relevant for product and design by manipulating rigor of our work. But what I also noticed is that we don't talk about rigor systematically. And I would like to do it during this talk, at least briefly. I know that we are pretty short on time, but I will try to do it quickly. So first of all, let's try with definitions. I like how Eliška approached her presentation. There were a lot of definitions and I love them. And I have one for you as well. So I browsed multiple definitions of rigor in academic literature, and I found like 15 of them. I didn't like any, so I tried to come up with my own. It's kind of a mix of all of those. So rigor is a precision, system, and thoroughness applied consistently at all stages of research. Planning, design, execution, analysis, and reporting as well. Rigor, maybe you are asking, why do we need it? So it's the same as asking, why do we need research at all? Because research, by definition, or rigor is, by the definition of research, is important and really key quality of research. We need it so we can rely on the outputs of research, because otherwise it would be just the same as other activities that we do, just as generative techniques or design processes and others. I will just very briefly sum it up for you and showcase my awesome Figma skills. So I'll try to draw it. So as I mentioned, rigor is a scale. It's something not binary. You can have zero rigor, but there can be a lot of rigor as well. In the definition, there were 5 stages of research, right? And all of these stages can have different level of rigor, even within one study. Also, I said that research, by definition, consists of, or rigor is part of research by its definition. And that's why if we have zero rigor, if there is no rigor in our work, we cannot consider it to be research. Hope you are still following. And I will get to a few examples now. So first of all, let's say we have some quick guerrilla testing. It was planned very quickly, but there is a certain plan. It was designed properly, executed well. We were not so thorough about analysis, but we reported also like reasonably well. We could plot it this way on this chart. Then let's say we have very serious usability test with plenty of users, long time of preparation, and it would look more or less like this. And the last one is expert review. Yeah, this is the name of the method. Last one is expert review. And here I want to show how we can, if we are unrigorous at all, at least in some stages, we cannot consider it to be research. It often happens that in expert reviews, we just skip the planning stage and go directly to our colleague and ask for their feedback. And then we probably wouldn't be able to consider it research as it should be. Hope it makes sense still. And now, finally, to the question that I would like to ask you. So how should we, how rigorous should UX research be? How should we decide on the rigor? Because the fact that we can do some methods, for example, like the guerrilla testing that I mentioned before, they are done properly, we can consider them to be research. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's research appropriate for our context. That these kind of methods and techniques are the ones that we should do all over again without looking around. And what do I mean by looking around? Is considering context of company and context of product. And plus, the last thing that I would like to add to it is that we can really further push it forward by standardization of this decision making. So let me dive into those two types of decisions, or those two factors that should influence how rigorous our research is. So I will help myself with a framework called product lifecycle, as well as adoption of product. So the first factor is product maturity, and why product maturity is important for decision on rigor of our research. In the product lifecycle, as you can see, there are 4 different stages, from introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. And there are 5 types of adapters that somehow match with these stages. As you can see, in the early stages of our product maturity, there are innovators and early adapters. And later on, there is early majority and late majority. And these two groups of adapters are very different, and I would like to focus on the difference. So when we are discussing rigorousness or rigor of our research, we should keep in mind that it's all about the decisions we are making about our product. We do research just because of that, to inform the decisions around product. When we are a small company with, well, it seems that I have, there's some behind me. Hope you can see me better. Hope you can see me better now. So in case you are a small company with just a launched product, maybe you have many customers, many users. Maybe the numbers are not so high, but it's important that those users are the early adopters probably. And specific thing about early adopters is that they are really very tolerant to mistakes. They can continue using product even if something is not working well, even if we are making weird changes. And we don't have to be therefore so serious about our decisions. When, on the other hand, we move more towards the growth stage and the maturity of product, we are talking about the early majority and late majority. And these folks are very different from early adopters because they are no longer that tolerant. When they see mistakes, they can very easily just go away and start using some other product. And this can be a big problem if we don't realize this difference in our product decision making and connected to it, the rigor of UX research. So one thing, or the first thing that I would like to mention about how to decide on the rigor of our UX research is that we should connect it with product maturity. And with increasing product maturity, we should increase also rigor of our research. Next one. The second thing is company maturity. And I think it's very important, or just as important as product maturity, because what do I mean by it? by company maturity, I mean the internal audience we have inside of the company, and perhaps some future audience, some future people that will join the company in the future. And even if it might sound weird, these people are also very important for us when deciding on rigor of research. When talking about the internal audience, I would divide it into two parts: the current core team that we are working with and the wider company. And the difference is how closely we collaborate with these people and how much we can count on the fact that they understand how we are working, what kind of work we are doing, and that they might be able to read between lines. With higher or with bigger internal audience, we have to do more rigorous UX research, just because we have to be sure that these people understand what we mean by our work, what actually we were researching. And it works also the opposite way. So if we have a very small team of people who more or less understand what we are doing, we don't have to pay that much attention to the rigor of our research. When we are talking about future, one thing that is important to keep in mind is the tenure of people, especially in our industry in tech. People, in average, stay with one company for around 2 years. And even if it might not look like relevant information for deciding on rigor of UX research, it is. Because imagine that one day you will leave the company where you are currently working and some other people will join. And these people have to be able to understand the work that you were doing without some additional context from you, without some explanations, and they have to be able to rely on it and to build on it. Because otherwise your work would be just really throwaway and they would have to start from scratch. So just to sum it up, with increasing company maturity, with increasing size of the internal teams, with increasing or with weakening of the connections between people in the teams, and if the company is becoming more robust, more mature, and the outlook for the future is optimistic, if we think that we will be here in the next couple of years, it's important also to increase the rigor of UX research to somehow solve the problems that I just mentioned. Hope at the moment it's clear why I mentioned these two factors that influence, in my opinion, the decision on rigor, and now how to really move it to the next level, and that's by standardization. UX researchers make decisions about rigor of research on daily basis, and often they are not really thoughtful about them. They don't have time really to think through them in that level of detail. They are pressured by time constraints from product. We are influenced by industry standards or things that we call industry standards, and that are not often really true. Just to mention one is this 5 users per usability testing study. This is a great guideline if we do usability studies in a way that in an iterative way, and in a way that will allow us to somehow stack this number of users over time, but it's not as good when we are doing one-time usability studies, for example. So I argue for standardization of the rigor or the expected rigor inside of the research teams, and not only research teams, but also in the teams of product managers and designers, so we know what to aim for. What's great about standardization as well is that once we know what's our current rigor for the studies that we are doing and what we want the rigor to be, we can start measuring it. and we can start comparing ourselves with this standard and perhaps making some corrective actions in case we see that we are doing less rigorous research. We can work on templates, on trainings to move it towards more rigorous, and vice versa, of course, as well. Yeah, just to wrap it up, I'll be really quick today. So what do I want you to take with you from this presentation is that it's a good idea to thoroughly consider the degree of rigor before any of your studies, and hopefully you will do it before your next study. And to make the lasting impact on how product and design work, it's also a good thing, or I believe it's a good thing, to consider standardization. Because there is nothing more said about doing research in startups, in really small startups, than doing it way too rigorously, just showing off the research skills without actually the need for such a rigor, without the need in such a big confidence in our findings. And also the other way around. It's also bad to see big companies that serve tens of thousands of users and that employ thousands of employees, to see them being nostalgic about the early days and feeling like startups and not realizing that they cannot do research the way they were used to a couple of years ago. And now, how is this relevant for our hackathon work today? Well, let me explain. But first, I don't think that research is a super important part of your hackathon work in these 2 days. You shouldn't do it in case you don't have clear product vision and design. But in case you have some free time or you think it would be valuable for you, I just wanted to let you know that you don't have to be really rigorous about the stuff that you will be doing. And actually, you can be somewhere on this edge of what we can consider research, because the stakes today are super low. There is nothing lower actually than the stakes today. In terms of product, there is no audience that you can make angry. There's nobody that would leave if you would make mistakes. So really, you don't have to take it that seriously. And when it comes to the company factor or company maturity, well, we are a people of 4 plus, I think, 3 people. And we'll be working very closely today and tomorrow, and that's it. So again, there's no need to take it seriously from this perspective as well. In case you have time, I will definitely encourage you to do some research, and to help you, I created a template for you, some very short research plan, session guide, and report that you can use when doing the research, in case you decide so. Folks in the teams, if you want, let me know. I will share it with you. And also today and tomorrow, I will be here. I will be happy to help you with any questions related to research especially, but also hopefully I'll be useful about topics on design process, perhaps, or designing in general. And yeah, good luck, folks. Have fun, and looking forward to the next 2 days. Thank you.